You know what the funniest part about this is? That over the past 24 hours, I did 50 of my own RTA wings. We're not seeing those battles. Why are we not seeing? Well, you know why we're not seeing those battles? Because they're boring, right? They're boring, and you guys don't want to see boring, and you guys want to see Guardian, and you want to see fun, crazy stuff, right? So today we're going to see fun, crazy stuff. This guy is using both the light and dark Onimushas. I always want to say called the Onimushas, Onimushas. This guy's using both the light and dark Onimushas. So let's take a brief recap of what they do. The first one's got a heal and a defense break for both of them. Regardless, it's the same thing. The second skill attacks all enemies, recovers 30% of the inflicted damage on this one. This indomitable passive, this is really what makes him cool. Critical hits won't occur when attacking the enemy, but the damage increased by 50%. You won't die under inability effects, and moves all inability effects granted on yourself when the turn starts. The damage increased by 50% additionally on that turn. So if you try to CC him, he cleanses it at the beginning of his turn, and then gets like basically an attack power buff. So pretty strong, pretty OP. He also has a HP leader skill, and he has 115 base speed. There's no reason for him to be on Swift, but he does have 115 base speed, which is pretty nice. And then the light one, another really cool unit. This is the stats at 6-star, by the way. This 6-star stats, and this is only the stats at 5-star because it is a nat 4 unit. But it may as well basically be a nat 5. So it's got the same first skill. It's got this skill, attacks all enemies, grants endure on yourself for 1 turn if the enemy gets defeated. A little bit different from the dark one. And then this one, bang head against the brick wall, he cannot be crit on. He cannot be crit on and counterattacks the target if the damage is received from the enemies less than 25% of your max HP. So people build him very tanky, and they build him with despair, because if he keeps countering, it's going to stun. Like the same reason as people build Artemail on despair, right? So critical hits won't occur when being attacked or attacking the enemy. So you can't cleave him. And there's some counters to him, though. The Fire Mage is a counter to him, and the Molong is a counter to him. That's why Molong has kind of rose in popularity this season, because in high levels, because this guy is pretty OP, right? So CR is a counter, Fire Mage is a counter, Molong is a counter. Those things are counters to him. Also, the other Onimushas are counters to him, because they're not going to crit regardless, and they're going to do more damage than this thing. So he's not going to revenge with that, right? So those units are counters to him. Anyway, let's take a look at some of these matches and let's see what they do. First 2 picks in his comp, the same first 2 picks as I feel like that's this season. Those are the first 2 picks. Well, you either pick those 2 first, or you pick a Molong first and into a lose. So actually, a super fast. Look at that. He went before the Water Ryu. I was surprised to see that go before. I was expecting to see the Water Ryu go first, right? So he is picking a comp that's like anti-CC, because he's got the Jaeger and he's got the Ongyuki, right? So then he has the AoE strip. It's just a weird turn order that these things were moving in. I was expecting a totally different turn order. He's got the Water Lich, actually, which is kind of interesting. I just changed the runes on my Water Lich today. Water Lich is also immune to CC. They changed his skill 2. Also, his skill 2 is now a single target. It used to be random targets. Now it's a single target. It's a defense break, multi-hit. He does stack his stats, actually, this Water Lich, right? So he's got the slow there. Water Lich, no match for a Jaeger. But yeah, the Water Lich stacks his stats. He's immune to CC. He's got a leader skill. I think he's a little bit on the underrated side for RTA. If you guys want to see some more Water Lich stuff, I can do some more Water Lich stuff for you. But yeah, not bad. I can't believe I forgot about Oki. Oki is another one that you see first round pick situations. So you see Water Ryu / more Jogun, Oki, Ciara, Molong, first pick kind of thing. You know what? We get to see 3 Onis. I'm just going to call them Onis. We didn't strip that much. Only stripped and resisted the Lulu. Lulu's so toxic. I'm just going to call them Onis from now on. I think that's good. We get to see 3 Onis. And I think I might actually want to build that Wind Oni. I don't use those things as much as I should. And then I find myself in situations, I'm like, man, what's the best unit that I could pick here? And And then I'm like, Onimushas. Yeah, there's a lot of situations I find myself in where I'm like, that's the unit I really should be picking in that situation. Okay. So, gets the bomb on the Water Ryu, gets the dot on him, and kills. And this is gonna be it's gonna be kind of nasty because he can't CC. He's gonna have to like snipe these units out with it. It wasn't enough. It wasn't enough with this wind Onimusha. And it's a G3 player too. But the Oki is just gonna CC. The Dark Onimusha is just going to cleanse the CC right here. Watch. Cleanse the CC with his passive, and then there's nothing. I mean, there was nothing he could do before. But he did get unlucky. If we take a look, he did. Even if he got the strip into the CC, the Dark Onimusha would have cleansed it off anyway. But he didn't get all the strips. He resisted the reset cooldown on Lulu, right? And a lot of times Lulu's built with a lot of resistance anyway, but he didn't quite get the RNG at the beginning of the match. His opponent, I mean. So that's welcome to RTA, right? Oni battle number 3. So he's got the 2 light and dark Onimushas. He's going against the Gianna Ragdoll. Toxic. Bans the light one. I figured they were going to get banned in some of these, right? So it does still get the... didn't have anything that he could use the skill 2 on. There was nothing left without will runes. But he did strip everything. Gets the wild dance. A lot of damage there. But that Abelio is going to cut in. He's going to cure, right? So I'm kind of curious. See, I feel like I would have played that differently. Because I figured that he's gonna do that anyway. So, but you know what? The Onimushas are such a great pick in general against Ragdolls. Against Ragdolls, against Artemils. Great pick in general against those. Gets the stun. He needs to kill this, though. He needs to kill. I mean, it doesn't cleanse the bomb. It only cleanses the CC. But, yeah, and then the Lulu comes in. Lulu's so toxic. Lulu's so toxic. How is a Nat 2 this toxic? How is a Nat 2 this high on the tier list? I was going to say the wish list. The wish list to tier list. I mean, the nice thing about it is that everyone can get it, but so toxic. It's like the same tier as LD5s, this Lulu, right? So, yeah, I think that's GG at this point. Right, between the Lulu and the Dark Onimusha, they don't even need all the rest of the... Obviously, they don't even need the rest of the units, but... yeah, that's another GG. Next battle against a G3 player. G3 player, actually, I mean, first few picks are fairly the same. Picks on Juve's side, fairly the same as what he was picking before. Opponent is picking stuff kind of like I like to pick. He like to pick the Water Ryu and the Light Monkey. Gets a Violent proc, so he is on Violent and Not. That Fire Art Master is on Violent and Not Swift. A lot of people like to run the Fire Art Master on Swift. That's why I mentioned that, right? So just the fact that he's on... just the fact that he's on... You know what Violent procs are... Because he gives himself an extra turn automatically anyway. So Violent procs actually make that guy a little bit extra toxic, don't they? Yeah, they do. Just like for the same reason that Ciara giving herself extra turns, Violent procs make her nasty. And if we take a look, that the Water Art Master actually boosted the attack gauge of his allies as well, right? When Lulu cleansed. So that's part of the Water Art Master's passive. I know it changes in every single balance patch, that Water Art Master, but the current Water Art Master will boost his attack gauge of himself and the allies when the enemies cleanse. Next match, same first few. Well, you know what? The first few picks are generally speed leads, right? So a lot of times either speed leads or HP leads, things that have leader skills or very, very strong regular element unit like fire, water, wind units, whatever the most meta stuff of those of their respective elements are most meta this season. Like the Fire Art Master is, he doesn't have a speed lead, but he is very, very meta, very strong unit. So those are generally the first few picks, things that are flexible in multiple comps, not just one comp, right? So we get not the bomb. He's generally built with high resistance though. That light Onimusha. So, generally, Light Onimusha and Lulu are built with high resistance, and the other two, the Water Ryu and the Fire Art Master. Can we just call him the Fart Master? I just feel like we should call him the Fart Master, right? So, he is actually on Violent. He is not on Despair. He's on Violent. So, resists again. I hope he is on max resistance. This way, they don't have to feel too bad. But they're going to feel bad regardless, right? So, no more glancing. Or, I mean, they could still glance, but less glancing. Because the Molly's not in the picture anymore. Finally gets a bomb on him. But he's an HP tank, right? So he doesn't, and that's not an attack power buffed bomb. So, the nastiness of the, and again, it's a high resistance unit. They're choosing to not bomb the low resistance things with the CR. They're choosing to bomb the things that are generally built as the meta builds for high resistance. So I'm not sure if the Lulu actually has. Oh well, Lulu got stunned anyway, so it doesn't really matter what Lulu has as far as the skills. But yeah, CR is down, and that's basically GG at that point. You know what? Speaking of meta first round picks, this guy decides to pick a Hey Gang Water Art Master for the first. Usually you don't see him for first round pick, and Abellio. Interesting. You know what? Abellio's not bad here though. We saw Abellio in the other match was doing pretty decently. I'm surprised. I'm surprised that he's got this going so fast versus the Water Ryu. So Water Ryu, did we see him on Despair before? He is on Despair, right? Because he actually got the Hey Gang right there. So he's on Despair. He's not on Swift. A lot of times people like to put him on Swift. But people generally put him on Swift if they are going for a turn 1 control comp. And they put him on Despair if they're going for a turn 2 response to a control comp. So Despair will a lot of times for a response team or a more turn 2 comp. And then people not really worried too much about the will. There's still an argument to be made for will, even if you are going to be the aggressor in the match. But yeah, it's more important to have will for turn 2, obviously. So he gets another turn. That additional turn was very clutch there, right? So he actually took out the Dark Onimusha, but still gets the Blade Slaughter off. Did not kill the Ciara there. He's gonna still do a lot of revenges. Anytime they do any AoEs, he's still gonna do a lot of revenges. So the Ciara, she does get the bomb. She does get the detonate, but he did not get stunned. Remember, they're high resistance on these units a lot of times, right? And he heals with his skill 1, so he's gonna keep revenging. He's gonna keep healing on those revenges. So let's see. Let's see if he takes this. Now it's 4v3. And it's almost 4v... Okay, so it's 3v3 now. But this Abellio is going to keep healing. It's going to be kind of annoying. I think it's interesting to see the Carnal, the Fire Slayer, being used so much this season. I think that he's a good unit. And I thought that he was a good unit before when I actually summoned him. You guys, maybe some of you remember that I was doing a lot of videos with Carnal. Just for fun. Just because... Well, actually, the Fire Bison... It's the same unit, but the Fire Bison version of him, when I got him a while ago on the Europe server, I just liked using him. I just think he's a cool, I like control units. So, and then he got buffed after that, so he's a little bit stronger version of himself. His skill 3, I know people love this skill 3, so if we take a look at it, it didn't stun everyone, right? His skill 3 does not have a super crazy, it's not like 100% activation rate, right? So actually, I think that his skill 3 could use a little bit of a buff, but he's used so much right now that I don't actually see his skill 3 ever getting a buff. Let's be real. Anytime I use him, I'm like, man, I wish the activation rate was higher on the skill 3. But if you guys are just watching this video to watch this video, like, well, I have a Fire Slayer, but I don't even know what to do with him, right? Fire Slayer is a pretty good unit for a lot of situations, not just RTA. Fire Slayer is actually good for, some people like to use him for a tanky arena defense. Some people like to use him for, like I was using him for Guild Wars. He's also really good for TOA. TOA Hell. He's got the AoE slow, stun, attack gauge decrease with skill 3. Then he's got the, he's also good for boss stages because he has the skill 2, which absorbs the boss's attack gauge. Or absorbs anything's attack gauge, right? And then the skill 1 that provokes. So while the Fire Slayer can be used for RTA, Guild Wars, arena defense, there's not too many good arena defense units. He is one of those good arena defense units because it's a super tanky HP leader skill. And he's also good for, again, TOA hard, and bosses. So he's good for controlling the normal stages, and then he's also good for the boss stages as well. Very nice unit. I went on a rant there about the Fire Slayer, didn't I? Okay, so this next one, this is like a 2 seasons ago comp. This is a Ganny Hathor. We're seeing first pick Ganny Hathor into a Chibu and a Vigor. Not this season's comp, bro. I mean, like, this is not a very, not a thing that you would expect from this season because Artifacts made some of the other unit. The Artifacts kind of put Hathor a little bit out of meta, right? Additional damage things for both Juno and also the Oki. A lot of people using Oki instead of that. So interesting enough seeing that that Hathor there. But Hathor can't really do any damage, right? So Joltan. Joltan, Vigor is already out of the game. Asasis was the only threat that they had at that point. And they really just didn't have enough. And 2 units that were immune to CC, they didn't, like, the opponent didn't know that he had 2 LD5s that are immune to CC when he first picked Ganny Hathor. Like, oh, well, that's not good. First round Lulu. First round Lulu. You know what? He first round Lulu before he did the Water Ryu though. So bans out the light Onimusha, not the dark one, not the dark 5-star. He bans out the light 5-star, right? And he's going for just the kill as soon as possible on this guy. He can't die when he's CC'd though. Keep that in mind. He took lethal damage but cannot die when he's CC'd. And when he comes back, when he takes a turn, he's going to cleanse that off, right? So there we go. That's nasty. And then healed himself back up to full. So that's kind of part of the thing right there that we see. Part of his passive that we weren't seeing as much in some of the previous battles is that he cannot die from, like, when he's under inability effects, he just cannot die. I'm going to show you guys 2 more battles. It's a different person, though. They're using a different comp. They're using Tableau, Jameer, Bastet, Ongyuki, and Light Chun-Li as well. So let's take a look at this comp, and let's see how they... so they're basically getting Cleave. They just don't have any Tableau in here to reset and have an additional combo into that. But they did enough damage without even any defense breaks or anything. And also there was no speed buff for the Light Chun-Li either. She just had an attack power buff. But they did enough damage through that. Now they come back, because super tanky HP leader skill plus shields from the Diana. So now they come back and they still kill things. And then the dark Onimusha, Ongyuki, healed himself back up to almost... He was almost full, right? After that last attack. And the last battle of the day, same guy as the last one. He's the one with the Ongyuki and the Light Chun-Li. I just thought you guys would get a kick out of this. I had him on my favorites list for, like, I think maybe 2 weeks at this point. I've had him on my favorites list. But yeah, he's using a super fast Tableau, right? Outspeeds everything else on the enemy's team. Super fast Tableau. And just comes in and 2-shots the team between the Ongyuki and the speed buff. Now, the Chun-Li has the speed buff and the attack power buff, and she just does between the 2 of them, just does a massive amount of damage and just clean sweeps the whole team. Because they thought they were going to outspeed. They're like, oh, I'm definitely going to outspeed the Samath. You know, I'll leave in one of the speed leads. Wasn't enough. All right, guys, that's it for this one. Hope you enjoyed it. I'm excited that we got to see both the light and dark Onimushas in the same comp, and I'm also excited that we got to see the dark Onimusha in kind of more of a Cleave thing, because we really didn't see too much of the dark Onimusha on this channel before. I know other people have shown the dark Onimusha and stuff like that, but we really didn't get a chance to see him on here, so finally we get a chance to see him with the light Onimusha. I think it's a fantastic unit, and not only that, I think the Onimushas in general, I mean, not even just that I think, it's that the meta has shown that the Onimushas in general are pretty good units overall. Like, there's some families of units where it's like, oh, all of those units suck. All of those, like, for example, the gargoyles. The wind one's okay. You see the wind one every so often. But then the other gargoyles, like, who's using the fire gargoyle? Who's using the light, then the dark, and the water? Like, these units are just not being used at all. You know, next balance patch, who knows? They're still gonna not be used at all, probably. But these Onimushas, they actually, like, all of them are, like, you could use all of them. It's not like any of them are like, oh, don't ever build that. That's so stupid. It's like you can use any of these Onimushas, and it's not a bad unit to build. So, anyway, that really should be more of a thing in Summoner's War, because that's a thing in mobile games in general, is the new units are always supposed to be better than the old units. That's how you get people to want to summon for the new units. But, but some of the new units are not, like the Wind Onmyuji. What are we gonna do with that, right? Wind Onmyuji. And there's some other units that is like, that have come out that's like, what are we gonna do? It's like, I guess, storage decorations. That's nice. But anyway, that's it for this one. Hope you guys enjoy. I'll see you as always in the next one.